Sparky doesn't benefit, but he returns to the fight. The stick, oh, beautiful stuff from Amon. That is stunning. Rolls over Fleta, but still gets taken down. He still took a lot of damage from the pulse bomb, even if he used it offensively to kill the Tracer that deployed it.
Big for New York if they can get the ground pulse cover. Graviton's out. Here's the pulse. It's big against two Jaws. New York did just enough to stall and come back in.
Jinmu looking to finish off Void here, and he's got a barrage to bring onto the point. It could already be over. Fleta goes down to the micro rockets, and Jinmu cleans up Lip. Nowhere for Fate to run there as he gets bundled up into the corner.
We've all said that Flora deals with Briggs. That's why they push support. Flora. That is unreal.
Get him a bouquet, man. This guy is absolutely carried.
Alrighty, we are back. Now I'm going to be joined by my usual cohort. We've got Avril hopping on to cast these last two series alongside me. Had some fun with Jaws, but Jaws out, Avril in. My new best friend, all those other stupid references and memes that kids like to use. Hey, we've got a very interesting series on our hands, I do believe, with the Chengdu Hunters getting ready to go up against the NYXL. This is one of those ones that after the performance yesterday, I'm like, kind of having some difficulty separating these two teams and trying to figure out who is going to win. I think this could end up being yet another elongated series.
Could be. I mean, we just had a banger over map 5 there. Fun fact as well, Seoul reverse swept 3 times now, and Philly's been reverse swept 2 times this season, so that's a good one to look back on. Who knows what happens here, though? One of the teams that Philly got reverse swept by was actually the Chengdu Hunters. And Chengdu, we saw their games yesterday, and obviously Jinmu received the player of the match there on the fire specifically, and Chengdu, they're still, you know, looking fairly decent from the back end of Summer Showdown, which they came second place in. You know, maybe a bit shaky versus Eileen's Hangzhou specifically. Excelsior should be bringing their full force to bear, though. They should have a pretty good idea what Chengdu are going to be bringing to the table, since we did get to have a good look at Chengdu, and honestly, they're not playing too differently from what we expect.
Yeah, it's mostly been, you know, they're following the straight and narrow. A couple weird things in there. We actually saw quite a bit of Genji. We saw both Jinmu and Leaf play the Sombra, neither looking extremely proficient on it. So they, you know, they have a little bit of change-ups, but like you mentioned, it was really that Pharah from Jinmu that was so very impactful that got him that player of the match. So we'll be taking a closer look at Jinmu here because he has just been so very important to all of the success that Chengdu have been finding so far in the season.
Absolutely, and you know, the expectation now for me is going to be that New York Excelsior should bring in both head scans, should be Flora and Guangzhou to start things out with, and perhaps run Flora Guangzhou the entire way through, because they need to shut down Jinmu. He's probably the most impactful player in this kind of meta where Pharah is getting a lot more game time than I expected. I didn't think this was going to be a big Pharah meta, but teams like Chengdu are going to be pushing it further and further and further along, and if you do not shut down Jinmu, he's going to get away with murder. He's going to force this game to go in the direction he wants to, and Excelsior, they're going to start with GB, they're going to start with a double hit scan, they're going to start with the capability to maybe shut him down.
Yeah, we'll see if they can handle it where, you know, so many other teams have kind of failed in that task. Can they contain his Pharah? The question will be answered momentarily as we do get ready to hop into this game. But yeah, this is a very, very difficult one to call, I think. So good luck to everybody with your pick'ems, because this could definitely be a bit of a messy series. Could end up going yet again to a map 5. I don't know, why the hell not? Let's close out the week with multiple bangers.
Really interesting thing here as well is New York, if they win this matchup, they will be 3-1 and clear the Shanghai Dragons, who at best now can only go 2-2. So it may be a must-win for New York Excelsior. If they want to get into the Countdown Cup, get back into another tournament, they really do have to win this one and escape from Shanghai. Also, if they do lose this one and they don't win at least 2 maps, Shanghai could catch up and force a tiebreaker. So very important stakes here for New York.
Yeah, well, a couple pot shots being taken there by Guangzhou, trying to get Jinmu out of the skies. We'll have to pull back, though, as they get ready to reassess their approach onto this point. Leave, I mean, just with the slight threat there, Yakpung kind of messing up the grapple. It still forces him to translocate out. He does not want to get barreled over, get eliminated. So once it comes straight back into the fight, he's playing the corner right now. Cap getting ready to come through. Contest is going to be there from the side of the Chengdu Hunters. At this point, still not taken by anybody. Kalios going to be going up into the air, and it receives quite a few rocket hits, and Jinmu nearly has this barrage online. Jonek, though, first one to arrive to an ultimate, has the Nano ready, and that's going to be empowering Guangzhou now, but he's still getting focus fired, 4 HP, and Late Young will be able to pursue forward, gets that elimination. Jinmu has been taken out of the skies, and we're not seeing a res yet, which tells us that it's in dangerous territory, even more dangerous than Nisha is ready to compromise himself with. So we'll just wait. Jinmu's going to be rejoining into the fight, but right now, NYXL, they're suffering heavy losses over on this point. Chengdu Hunters starting to get the flip back in. Kalios will find the enemy Mercy. Floor will go down, the flip will be there. It's only 17% established for NYXL.
You see that New York Excelsior actually having a lot of their players spread quite thin here because they're trying to deal with multiple threats at the same time. Leave is contesting the point itself. Jinmu's really just raining down a lot of rockets from the skies as he would normally do so, and you have Guangzhou receive the Nano. Even this is kind of like a strange Nano recipient because New York just really want to shut down Jinmu, but they left the point alone for quite some time. They eventually did get the cap, but you did see they should have maybe had the cap a little bit earlier, but as they left the point, Leave took control. Now Leave has the EMP ready to go.
Flora just trying to build up. Yakpung going to be taking a nap right now. Bionade goes out. Wrecking Ball goes down. EMP comes in. It's going to be a duo. Guangzhou and Friday both going to get caught. Jinmu goes in. Thought maybe he was going to go for the barrage just then, but either way, gets slept before he can pop it. So still will have it for a future fight. And Kalios, oh, this is not going to be pretty.
I don't think he would have gone for the barrage actually because it's really close quarters there. Just a free kill, 200 damage rocket off to Guangzhou, take out the biggest threat on the table. The only real threat to Jinmu, seriously speaking, either. So make sure that's gone. And just by the way, as well, Chengdu had 6 ultimates coming into that fight, so they won the previous one extremely cheaply. Manual hacks. Jonak was manual hacked as well. Just get rid of specific targets. Guangzhou was their first one down. He was the first one down again. So if there is a win condition for New York, it is off the back of GB's McCree here. And Chengdu know it, so they are heavily focused on down. There's another Nano available. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they give it to Guangzhou again.
Well, just wait and see for now. He's going to be hacked, anti out. Guangzhou and Jonak both going to fall, so the Nano and the target both not going to be in the fight. Barrage will find Yakpung. Kalio's going to be broken out of the mech. Finished off by the pile driver, and this very well could just be 100%
like this
closeout.
I mean, that's a pulse pump, but it will be res. I don't know if that was really worth it from forward there. I expect Nisha to just jump in there, get the res going. There's almost no time now, 95%, and you have to pop this Nano fairly quickly. Yakpung's got a touch, he's been slapped.
They managed to make it onto the point all the same. The Deadeye from Guangzhou will find Jinmu. Yakpung going to be traded out, but Jonak gets the better of Monk, taking down his counterpart, Ana. Flora dashing around the side, tries to stay alive, tries to build up, halfway out to another pulse bomb, but needs to alleviate some pressure. He spots Leave over on the flank. Leave nearly has an EMP.
Jinmu's on Tracer.
On its head to try to shut them down, but the flip is going to come through. So NYXL are back in control of the point, but 20% still have a very long road ahead of them if they want to close this out, get the first round win on Village. Nisha kind of just getting caught in a really rough spot. Will fall, so it's going to be extra time purchase here for NYXL.
See if Nisha goes Brig here as well. If he goes Brig, they've given up on the fire strategy, at least for now. There it is. So I believe Jinmu was specifically on the Tracer to try and contest very quickly. He's a faster hero than the Farah. And I mean, now that Jinmu's dead, Nisha's like, all right, let's go back to the strategy we're known for. Maybe. No, maybe not. Nisha's okay. He went back to the Mercy. Now he's back on the Brig, and Jinmu's like, actually, I will just stay on the Tracer. They have an EMP available. Gonna go for a one and done here. I don't know who's gonna take this Nano. Might have to go to Late Young or Gaga, or perhaps even Nisha. Leave has to be very careful about where he wants to place this one. A little bit away from Friday. There's not great ultimates on the side of New York either, so this could be the one fight that does it.
All right, EMP goes out, and I don't believe it hits anybody. I think it might have actually just got a clean whip from Leave, but they still do manage to find Kalios, but it's going to be the cost of Gaga, so they trade out on tanks. Yakpung still falling a bit low. He's well around the back, he's trying to survive. Should have his shield. Should be able to crash in pretty quickly here to join in with the rest of the team. Bionade off the top rope. Find 2 members, but NYXL dangerously close to being able to swing this back into their favor. It seems like no matter what, it's going to result in a 99-99. Nano Boost goes out onto Gaga of all people off the bat. Sleep dart onto Jonak though, and they set up for the kill. So now he's out of the fight. Floor recalls with just a sliver of HP before Jonak died. He was able to throw the Nano onto Guangzhou. Electric Cowboy, though, doesn't find too much. Yakpung crashes through Monk, finds that elimination. High Noon going to have to be canceled fairly quickly, but Guangzhou still going to be alive. Doesn't get punished. Kalios finds Leave with the remake. Gets him out before, and that stick comes in. Nisha going to be eliminated in NYXL. It seems like they very well have done it. They get the deny on the remake, and from the jaws of defeat, NYXL will bring this back. They started with, what, 17, 18%?
Yeah.
Right up to 100 to win on Village.
I mean, you have to remember as well, Jinmu chose to go towards the Tracer. That was a stalling tactic. That was a final contest tactic, and then they stuck with it. They had the option when Jinmu died of going back to the pharmacy. And the comms there for Chengdu, you have to assume was, no, let's stay on the Tracer. Nisha popped over the Mercy, swapped back to the Brig, and they proceeded with this Tracer Brig composition for the rest of that sub-map. And they needed to get that one and done EMP play. The EMP landed only on Kalios. Yeah, they got the DMAC, but it wasn't enough. They got them a brief 6v5. They couldn't trade efficiently. Monk did a very early nano onto Gaga, which probably didn't get great value. To be fair, Jonak did a nano onto Guangzhou as well, which didn't find a lot of value. So we'll say that both of the nanos didn't really do too much there. But towards the end, I think that was a good matchup in New York. They were far more comfortable just to play against a Tracer Sombra than they are, I think, versus this Fire.
Well, straight back over to it, as anticipated. Gaga takes a considerable amount of damage off the bat. Flora, I mean, just surging towards this pulse bomb. 54% already established. Jonak weaves a nice little shot in onto Jinmu, who will fall. Kalios is there for the alley-oop. So Pharmacy broken down, and that's just yet again going to be a nice little pickup on the point, as Li Young is going to be broken out of mech.
The other really interesting adaptation there you have to pay attention to is the fact that Kalios has been playing D.Va the whole time. Now, normally I would suspect that Kalios should be on the Zarya. When I say should, I mean for the purposes of looking at NYXL. Historically, so far this stage, they've been putting Kalios almost permanently on Zarya. The reason he's on D.Va here is they are doubling down on shutting down Jinmu. It's a Squangbong and Kalios working together to try and take down Jinmu. That's why Kalios actually got that frag. Now, Jinmu's not having the same impact as he usually has because a lot more pressure on his back.
Yeah, you would say Nora's leave. I mean, look at this. Great response from Kalios. Immediately jumps over to the side. Leave only gets 4% ult charge off that poke out. Now Monk is gone. There's so much attention. It's just being split here from the side of the Chengdu Hunters. Seems like they don't know which way to look. And Flora gets a second pulse bomb kill on the Jinmu. He got one in the last round. I don't know how he did this time around, but all the same, not something that you typically see. I'm not too certain, but either way, good capitalization. Fantastically done here from the NYXL to start, and now they're up above 50%.
And that's the thing is, you can tell Chengdu is struggling here because, not just because they're behind, obviously, but Jinmu doesn't even have a barrage. Usually he'd have a barrage in like the first, definitely under a minute by fight. He's getting a ton of damage. He'll try and farm it up very quickly now. Deadeye's gone. That's one thing going off for Chengdu. We'll see what Gaga's engaged looks like. It's decent.
He's just gonna die, I think. He's trying to roll out of there, but yeah, got anti and Guangbong. He's got the shots, he's got the tracking to go ahead and finish him off. Jinmu, dead.
Okay, Jinmu.
Kill himself with a rocket and go up the side of the map. I kind of heard the yell, I thought, so seems like he just wants to go for the fast reset. Was left out in an awkward position, but it's not over yet. Like, they're still finding these pickoffs here, so the staggers are going to be absolutely brutal.
I'm fairly sure Jinmu went for a melee rocket, like a rocket punch or something like that, and I'm not talking about Doomfist here, and they just killed somehow to sludge with that. He must have stuck one of them. He must have stuck Nisha, who then flew into Jinmu. That's the second time he's killed Jinmu with a pulse bomb. Flora's going off.
It's the third time if you count the first round as well. Flora is just absolutely destroying everybody on the NYXL, just performing so very strongly at the moment. Gaga trying to roll in, 99% here on the board, 3 ults available. Late Young, packed, the EMP comes in, it will manage to find 2. The barrage going to be dropped in, the sleep dart is perfect from Jonak. They will still get Kalios out of the mech, so they don't have that D-Matrix to try to keep people protected. Falling low is Nisha, the shots come in from Monk to try to keep the tops up. Maybe D.Va going to be killed off. They're looking for the flip. Jonak will find one. Nisha now going to go down. That's the supports eliminated. Gaga, he's just got no staying power on this point whatsoever. The shielding is not going to be good enough. He tries to trade Jonak. He cannot make it happen. And it's 100% to 0 in the second round. NYXL, they show up to play. They say, yeah, you know what? We've had plenty of tape to watch, Chengdu. We know exactly what you're going to try to do, and we have engineered a counter strategy. They play it to a T, and they completely stomp the Hunters at a shrine.
I mean, everybody on York Excelsior were just on top of that, but especially Flora. I cannot believe the value he's finding on that Tracer. Guess what? 4 pulse bomb attaches, 5 total pulse bomb kills. So that double kill he just got before, that was a stick. Every single one has been a stick. He's got 4 sticks in a row. So that second one we saw to Jinmu, and I guess the first one as well, they were all pulse bomb sticks. Unbelievable, getting them in average of 1.02 time as well, 1 minute 02 seconds. It's insane. I don't know how he's been this consistent at shutting down Jinmu. It's not just the hit scan of Guangzhou. It's not just the D.Va Kalios, which that should be enough when it's 2 people like that. But then you add Flora's Tracer on the mix as well. There's just no way. Like, Jinmu can't play the game.
Yeah, I mean, just brutal. We got to see it in the player of the match, replay right there. I mean, he just found Jinmu hiding indoors, threw the pulse bomb onto him, and then Nisha flew into the pulse bomb explosion. It wasn't the other way around, like we were kind of anticipating. But man, I mean, fantastic performance here from NYXL. Is that going to be enough to force a transition from the Chengdu Hunters? Like, do we see them make a wholesale swap? I don't know. We're going to have to just wait and find out, though, guys. But already, things are explosive in the first map. I can't wait for this series to continue. Seems like we got one hell of a day of Overwatch on our hands here in the APAC region. I'm all about it. But, guys, we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, map 2, so don't go anywhere. Alrighty, welcome back, guys. Man, a very, very crazy and wild first map out of the way. NYXL just utterly destroying the Chengdu Hunters on Shrine. I mean, fairly close. Definitely, a bit of back and forth on Village. They got that initial cap. They lose it. Chengdu Hunters get to 99%, and NYXL retake. They managed to win it, but they just came back in fully prepared on that second round of Nepal. They closed it out, and it's a statement of a start to a series here. I was talking about how uncertain it would be to pick a victor here, but right now, I'm very much leaning into the NYXL camp if they continue to perform like that.
It would be an understatement to say that New York have done their homework here. They've done their homework like multiple times. They've done it, and redone it again, just to be sure.
Everybody else's homework.
I mean, yeah. At this stage, it's 100. Well, if we're going to go back to the score analogy, this is looking like a 100% to me. I mean, we already had a 100% to 0 there, but you got like every DPS showing up here. They've specifically counter-comped Chengdu best they could. They've specifically targeted the player that's been most impactful, that's been the most dangerous, that other teams have befallen to. I mean, they've watched other teams fail versus Jinmu. They're like, it's not going to be us. It can't be us. We're going to learn from the mistakes of the other teams. And guess what? Jinmu died 10 times over the course of that map, so he got absolutely rolled every single time. Like, well, most times. He still got a fair amount of damage done, but really he was dead a lot, and it just comes through from the multitude of threats New York were presenting onto the table here, and that really should not be ending. That should be the way that New York will continue to play for the rest of the series. I suspect that Guangzhou and Flora will be playing the entire time, because as long as Jinmu's on the table and Fire is a potential threat, you need GB to be in there. Chengdu, however, are going to make a swap-up happen. So Yveltal's back in. He's going to come in for Nisha, and that might change up a couple of things internally. Composition-wise, though, Chengdu should still be pretty much on the same things here. Yveltal still really well known for the Mercy.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously not going to be too big of a transition as far as what the play style and decision making is going to be. Yveltal has also shown that he has a very strong Brigida, as well as still being one of the greatest Mercies of all time. And seems like, at least for now, he's going to be hovering that Mercy. Starting things off on the defense, though, is the NY Excel, and they're just going to be showing us very much the same. They say, yep, it was working a treat. Yakpeng was doing well on the Wrecking Ball. He wasn't really getting picked off, and, he wasn't feeding at all. So he was playing well independently. They're keeping him sustained, so let's not change anything.
Let me drop in a very crucial storyline here as well. There's a team that's not currently playing this match that really needs a specific result here. So if you are the Guangzhou Charge or your Guangzhou Charge supporter, you really need New York to lose today, because the one way Guangzhou can still rescue their season in terms of making at least the play-ins and escaping from the bottom 3 of APAC is they have to overtake both New York and Hangzhou, so they need New York to win. If New York win, I fear Guangzhou are probably out. And above that as well, Guangzhou still need to beat Shanghai in our next matchup. But for now, New York, if they win this matchup, they'll be pretty safe and they'll escape from Shanghai.
All right, well, we'll see if they can get across that finish line. Jinmu's going to be starting things off here with the Sombra lead over onto the Hangzhou. Sends out a recon arrow. Sees what he can spot, but doesn't see too much of anything.
So if you're Chengdu, you can almost expect that New York will be running that same lineup again. I mean, it's going to be the McCree starting out, Kalios obviously on the Diva. Once, Kalios can stay on this Diva just to spy check Jinmu, or he can go back towards Zarya if he feels comfortable doing that, because he has been playing mostly Zarya so far since he's been in. And so looking towards holding up the first man. That's going on the floor, though.
Yeah, it does manage to drop down to safety, but it's only very slight. Doesn't last too long. They managed to get on top of it good there from Gaga. Counting down the McCree. Gets that elimination. There's Flora getting tagged up just a little bit as he takes a couple duels, and Leave will manage to get him in the end. It's the chest shot to get the finish. Now he's looking, setting his sights on Junik, and Yakpeng.
Yeah, off the edge there, unfortunately. Could have been Boop. Sometimes the Boop kill feed doesn't actually show. This is finally New York maybe getting a little bit of a reprise read, rather, as they get a bit of a sleep with the Gaga now available. Guangzhou's back into play, but they've lost all control. This entire courtyard's been taken out. Lever's taking a few notes from Eileen yesterday, so here we go, Dragon Strike.
It's going to be zoning away Guangzhou, so he's not finding too much value right now with his nano boost. Instantly goes out, gets a dink onto Monk, but can't get the follow-up tag. Goes out a flashbang, but it's a bit of an overstep there. Yeah, way too much of a reach, and Leave with the Storm Arrows just gets him in the head. EMP now comes through. That is everybody who is alive. 5-man EMP hack for the first one to fall. Now Kalios' mech and the rest of the squad should follow suit as the point becomes captured. So very good turnaround here from the side of the Chengdu Hunters, not letting that first map really rest in their minds at all. They come back in, they look refreshed, and Leave looks very, very good on the Hangzhou.
And now New York are changing up the composition slightly. I mean, Jonak's going away from the Ana now. You don't have great nano targets. He's nanoing Guangzhou every single time. And okay, versus Jinmu on the Fire, that might be a reasonable thing to do. But now it's like, it doesn't really help you as much anymore. And above that as well, I mean, New York don't have a Sombra, so they're not able to really counter this Jinmu play. And this is just falling apart now.
Oh, how the tides have turned. I mean, yeah, self-destruct over the top finds Guangzhou. The stick from Flora forces the Transcendence, but it doesn't lead to anything else. Chengdu Hunters just so well stacked, so they get these pickoffs, so losing the trance doesn't end up costing them in the long run. Jonek now here on the Zenyatta himself. We'll see if he can find any intro picks, see if NYXL can actually recontest on B. This is a very awkward point to try to get back on top of.
Because Gaga, Flores is dead. Leave. How does he get that?
I don't know. Kalios is instantly broken out of the mech as well. He follows up with the Storm Arrows to go ahead and get the Diva. Guangzhou eliminated, and NYXL, I mean, it seemed to have worked very well on King of the Hill, on control, but now it is very much falling apart. Jonek manages to find just one. Has escaped thus far with his life intact, but he's still sitting in the back here by the point. So while it's contested for the moment, I don't think it's going to last too much longer, as Yevapol right now is the only casualty. So they will push it, and now it's 4.5 minutes for the Chengdu Hunters to finish this.
Honestly, Hangzhou, you know, don't mind the fact that Leave is popping off right now, but Hangzhou, technically speaking, on paper, isn't even good in this matchup. It's good if the other team is playing the Arista here, but when Leave's hitting these shots, I mean, it doesn't even matter. He's just getting these frags. The final blows are coming on in. Again, he's looking at the game that they just played versus Guangzhou Charge yesterday, where Eileen did the same thing to his team, and now he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to play the Hangzhou. I'm going to pop off. I'm going to do the same thing Eileen did to me versus New York.
EMP finds three, but Jonek perfectly timed with the Transcendence to keep his team alive. Does so for now. Dragon Strike moves over to the side. I thought maybe that was going to be able to clip on the Monk, but it doesn't quite land. Self-destruct going.
Okay.
Kalios finds four. Oh, just sends it straight down the hall. Very nicely done. That's a much needed stability here for the side of the NYXL, but is it going to be enough is the question. As Yakpeng, yeah, even though he's got 410 health, he says, I am not dueling Leave when he's got Storm Arrows.
Well, it's also because Jinmu will be close by as well, and the Sombra difference is going to be felt, and it's especially noticeable in the tank matchup because Gaga doesn't have to deal with the Sombra on the other side. There's no risk of being hacked. Yakpeng always at risk of being hacked there, and that's going to be Jinmu's primary target if available. So now that there's been a bit of a reset, you'll get a moment to breathe, get a moment to finally set up. Gaga's rolling on through.
Flora taking a little peek down the stairwell there for a moment, says, oh god, I don't want to be here. Tries to leave as he sees the Chengdu Hunters advancing forward. Transcendence to start here from Monk, tries to keep them all topped up. Jonek, Trance is second. Still has that healing rolling through. The self-destruct from Late Young doesn't manage to find anything, but he will safely get back into the mech. Guangzhou finally asserting a little bit of dominance, will get rid of Lee, but Friday falls. Now Yakpeng is going to be taken out, and that's two of the tankiest members that they had available out of the fight, so maybe this cart can start moving yet again for the Chengdu Hunters. And we have to see a pullback in all reality here. I would expect from the side of the NYXL. That being said, tank line gets broken down, but Jonek does fall. Now Flora is going to be eliminated, as is Kalios. The cart can, in fact, advance at the end of the day. EMP still held by Jinmu. Chengdu Hunters going to complete.
You need Guangzhou or Friday to make an outplay here because there is no Transcendence available from Jonek, and Jinmu should get a fairly decent EMP. So, depending on where the Sonic Arrow goes, dodge that one. Doesn't seem like they've been spotted. EMP hits 1 or 2.
Jonek dead, though, off the rip. You know, he's out of the fight. Kalios just letting go with that self-destruct, hoping and praying that he can manage to find another 4, but it's not going to happen. He's hacked, so he cannot remech as well. Really good target selection there by Jinmu. Is completely identifying where he needs to be and who he needs to be focused on. Flora goes in the contest for just a second longer. The push will come in. So from 4.5 minutes down to 1 minute and 48. It's a decent time buy for the side of NYXL. But, I mean, even just finishing on Rialto, we don't necessarily see teams make it to the end of the map all the time. So they need to have a very strong attack to try to match.
I mean, consider the fact that, technically speaking, Chengdu only lost 1 team fight there, and they still only ends with, what, 1 minute 40-something. This will be the Kalios bomb coming on through, and looks like Yveltal might have had his shield broken already.
Oh,
no, it's actually... Yeah, it seems like, yeah, Yveltal was the only one that could save himself because he had the shield. Everyone else was just, unfortunately, going to be in the LOS of the self-destruct. That was the one fight New York won. So they got that fight underway. All the other fights were either slow grinds that eventually went the way of Chengdu, even if they were kind of 50-50 start with, or complete washes. I mean, let's even consider the first fight there where they knocked Guangzhou off the high ground as the McCree onto the low ground, so the entire high ground set that New York had was blown up fairly quickly by losing their really important DPS player on that McCree, and, you know, things start to fall apart really quickly from that part onwards. This is the scary part about Chengdu because they don't have to play the fire. They're going to bait you into thinking, yeah, we'll play fire every single time. They don't have to do that. Jinmu can go towards a Sombra or another pick. He will now start on that fire again. He wants to test that water to see, is it still hot? Is GB going to still seriously challenge me? Kalios is going to start on Zarya, but I suspect as soon as he sees Jinmu on the fire, he's going to change back to Diva.
Well, in all likelihood, we'll see what happens. Just taking a quick little shot, barely misses the window of opportunity to snipe Jinmu. Would have forced a res early, but says, okay. Well, that fun little experiment's over, and it's, oh, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe he says they'll never expect it to take a second shot, but he's taking some pot shots here in the shield, so they know that he's still playing on the Widow, and Leave is, yeah, just gonna dome Flora, so.
I mean, this is kind of good because Leave is expecting, all right, well, Guangzhou's going to go either the Widowmaker or the McCree. I can challenge long range with the Widowmaker. That helps out Jinmu a little bit. Tracer doesn't get as much value in the early parts of A anyway. Can't find those flanks. And suddenly, really decent picks. Yakfeng slept as well. It's a great side effect. Leave is doing enough damage. He nearly has an infrasight. Look at that charge. He's got it.
Yeah. Already set and ready to go. Well. Very slow start here for New York. Definitely
you know
not
what? I know what Guangzhou needs. He needs to go back in the Hangzhou. And that's not just to do an Eileen cosplay versus Jinmu. You need it versus Gaga Shield here. Because, I mean, there's an Orisa defense. Hangzhou has been the hero of choice that most teams like to go towards when they're versing an Orisa. On top of that, if you can hit some real shots, you might be able to pressure Jinmu as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not a bad call. Otherwise, he's just going to be fan of the hammer. I mean, look at Gaga. He's just set up a little bubble for himself. So he's completely encapsulated and protected from all angles. They're trying to out-pressure him.
That's
They
just
will
being
break the
safe.
shield.
I respect that.
Yeah, you know, he's properly social distancing, just acting like a bubble boy. Kalios now going to be broken out of the back, and that means that Jinmu is very much unleashed. They don't have very much to try and contain him other than Wangbun, who does get that kill. They break down the shield. He sees Yabutol jumping over to the side. Yabutol playing around these sight lines fairly well. Anti's out. Leaf gets the shot as they pull him through with the halt. Good little combo there as Leaf, almost set off the side of the map. He's got the grapple. Landing on that low ground will be all right. But Young just going to be trying to pistol his way back in. And YXL, they're buying some much-needed distance right now. Leave is gone.
Exactly. They might be able to cap off this as well because there's not a lot coming through from the Chengdu Hunters. Should be a nano to Jinmu. Yep, here we go. Barrage time. Question mark? C9, maybe?
It's just really poorly timed here. They try to go for it, but the barrage, it's not going to come through. The nano's going to expire, and yeah, they just don't get there at that moment. I mean, having Kalios as well playing that far forward, there's just basically no way they'd be able to kill him and get him out of mech before the D-Matrix comes through, so he would have just lost all of it.
I mean,
got focus fired down.
I think Late Young could have just self-destructed in there. That would have bought some room as well. Allowed people to touch at least. This is a bit of a disaster now because they lost A kind of for free. They'll just get one fight win it, that's it. Flora now, let's see if we can find some more of these pulse points. He got massive stakes, especially onto Jinmu on the pull. If he does it again for Rialto, that would be heavily good for New York.
They still have a time pick advantage, even if this does go through to B. It's not like NYXL is going to be working anywhere close to the time pick that the Chengdu Hunters had, so still plenty of opportunity to pull off a defense here. 6 ult strong for the NYXLs. They wait for Kalios to respawn. One's going to be used. Minefield out from Yakpung. Looks like it's not going to be netting them too much, but the cart started inching forward again.
So the mines are on the ground floor and all the Chengdu on the upper floor. Like, what is that about? Like, who is that for? Oh, God. The good news is New York have 5 ultimates, minus the minefield we just had a bit of a laugh at. And now, okay, how do we deploy these? We're still looking at the pulse. We know Flora's hit some really nasty ones. Yakpung left again. Nano, again, Nano's a bit contentious because it's been on Guangzhou every single time.
Oh, Leave 2 with the Deadeye as Jinmu turns their attention into the back with the barrage. It's nanoed up. And that is just really well coordinated and very much a slaughter. Just forcing their perspective, saying, which way do you want to look? Either way, you're staring into the abyss. And clean up the kills, and NYXL now going to have to try to get back over to this cart yet again. And Jinmu, I mean, he's just playing up right on top of their spawn.
I'm not a fan of this Ana. I don't think it's because Jonak plays it for Ana. I just think Ana's not getting into this matchup. Like, what does Ana give you here? Are you trying to throw a nade around DM from Late Young plus the shield from Gaga? Not going to happen. Are you trying to land a God Sleep on a Jinmu in the sky? It's pretty tough to do. A Zen Discord would be far better here. You want to really help Guangzhou beat Jinmu in the air in this ground-to-air battle? Discord the fire, and that would actually help GB.
Well, speaking of, he's dead again. Really good pickoffs here, and they're now playing around this McCree extremely well and extremely intelligently.
It's not a cover.
They're not going to fall for the same trap twice. Jonak halted back into a flashbang. Jinmu gets the directive to finish him off. And he just continues to poke and prod at Guangzhou, just making sure that he cannot get into any kind of prime position. I mean, the team is just completely segregated away from each other. Gaga falling low, but Bionade comes in. They just burst him back up to full. Nakpung will finally get rid of one, but is losing to McCree good enough? Because the answer is no. Because of course, it's Yveltal. How have I forgotten? Yveltal is in this game, so of course the rest comes in.
And look at the angle they're playing there as well. Okay, Minefield is coming down, sure. Chengdu will back out. They don't have to play the payload just currently. The fact that Jinwoo's playing this off angle so far, well, he's just demon killing us for free.
Yeah, and the Deadeye will finish off the Baby Diva. Flashbang goes in. Lee's going to be taking a quick little nap, but as he wakes up, you can tell that he is very much in a rage fit. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Nakpung is dead. It's a team kill, and it's a minute remaining for New York, who just only have a singular Deadeye to work with, and they're just going to forgo it. Guangzhou says, no, I'm going to go for the Widowmaker. I need to click some heads.
I mean, what a Deadeye is going to do what? Everyone's going to hide away. Jinwoo's going to go behind Geometry, and the rest of Chengdu Hunters on upper ground of this level 2 building. I mean, you're not going to hit anybody. You're just not. Beyond that, okay, sure, you can get some space with it. I don't know if that's ideal. Let's turn the time back, let's turn the clock back again a little bit more, as I want to talk about Jonak's pick once again, because Kari was playing Zen yesterday, and that along with Eileen hitting shots, shut down Jinwoo. This Ana just doesn't do enough. You're nanoing Guangzhou, and now you don't even want to nano Guangzhou because it's on a Widowmaker. That's a good kill, though. You got your Rialto.
They finally got one. Obviously, there's no way for Jinwoo to bring it back in the fight as much as he would love to. Jumps around the back. Maybe he was actually just going to go for a solo barrage. He does not. Guangzhou able to barely come out on top with that elimination, but can he find more? Because they still have so very far to go if they want to finish this map. I mean, even if they get to be there starting with 18 seconds less than Chengdu finished with. So it is not a good position at all for the side of NYXL, no matter which way you slice it. Stick is going to be good. They'll find some Monk, but Jonak is going to be eliminated. Leave. He finds 2 headshots right out from the McCree.
Friday has to live.
He's out sniping him. Yveltal is eliminated, however, so no supports right now for the side of the Chengdu Hunters. Flora, they begin dashing around. Gaga is trying to get this elimination. Gaga plays well with the barrier, but Flora gets him in the end. Jinwoo a bit grounded. Flora barely finds that health pack, does not have a recall. Is in desperate need of some healing, but he's not going to receive it. The barrage comes in from above, and it's going to be good enough that gets them off the cart. The push cannot continue, and the Chengdu Hunters will come back in here on Rialto and tie it up 1-1.
I want to make something very clear right now. That final fight for Chengdu, they technically just won with no supports. Friday was still alive for the New York Excelsior. It was a 4v4. We can be clear about that one. But there is a support available for New York. They can still heal. There cannot be any healing for the side of Chengdu, and they still won that fight. Monk comes in on an Ana, very slow granny legs, still lands an Ana onto Jinwoo. I don't know from what range, but you know, enough. The sightlines were there. Jinwoo drops a rocket barrage, and it's got to be enough for them to finish. Gaga doesn't go down. You have these 4 players alive that has 0 healing. And New York, to be honest with you, even if they can't beat, I don't know if they have enough time to finish the entire match. Because like you said, Achilles, Rialto is tough to finish.
It is, and yeah, just given the innate disadvantages that they would have had, starting with just a minute and a half compared to the 1:48, it just seems very unlikely given the way that things were going. So a very solid reply from the side of the Chengdu Hunters to tie this up 1-1. And NYXL, let's see if they can take another step forward and regain a lead in this series, or if the Chengdu Hunters are going to be the ones walking away with it. And then, since I teed it up and it happened yesterday, why not? Or if we get a draw, I'll just go ahead and throw that out there, throw that into the ether, and see if it comes true. Guys, we're going to go to a quick little break, and when we come back, the action will continue, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, welcome back, guys. We're getting ready to go into our third map here in the second series of the evening. We're going to go to Volskaya Industries yet again, now tied up 1-1 between the Chengdu Hunters and the NYXL. I mean, New York just seemingly unable to find a way to work around Jinmu's Pharah, leaves everything, his Widowmaker, his McCree, everything that he played was just finding heavy impact from the very beginning. And you see there at the bottom of your screens, we're going to have a sub.
Yeah.
Feather's going to be coming in, Guangzhou going to be stepping out, so it seems like it's going to be a change in strategy for New York as well.
Yeah, this to me says that New York are going towards a Sombra strategy. Feather is their dedicated Sombra player. They're going to play probably Sombra Tracer over here. Volskaya, okay, let's say Jinmu does bring out the fire again. He can do that on A. Pretty bad for B. So the gambit here for New York is to say that, okay, if we are not going to hard counter Jinmu's fire on A, we're still going to win on B. So that's what they're really going to be focusing on. And as far as Rialto goes, honestly, the way Chengdu played it in that specific area of the map was honestly pretty beautiful. And that was even considering the fact that they didn't fully defend A and they kind of C9 the payload a little bit towards the end there as well and almost gave it up. If you go back and watch this, especially in the replay view, you'll notice that Jinmu's off angle was that he was pretty much in A, in the courtyard of A, hovering above the skyline, or above the roofs of A, while the rest of his team was in that like art gallery museum looking thing, and they had this crazy off-angle crossfire setup going on that was so difficult for New York to try and do anything against. And Guangzhou at that stage, I mean, there's just not enough open sight lines. McCree can only do so much there, and unfortunately New York got outplayed pretty hard on Rialto. That's a massive clapback from Chengdu.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the lack of having that Zenyatta, not having the Discord orbs on the Pharah to just more easily break them out of the sky, it does, come back to bite them. And I mean, granted, decisions are being made in the moment. There's obviously the coach's input as well that has to be taken into consideration. But I do agree with you. I think that might have been the better play. I mean, Jonak, left at the dry street. You've got a sleep dart to try and defend yourself. You've got the Bionade to keep yourself alive for a little bit longer. So it's less susceptible to just getting boomed. But
there's no good nano targets. They were nanoing Guangzhou every single time.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, nano him. And then what? Jinmu doesn't have to fight versus you. Leave doesn't have to fight versus you. You want to nano Deadeye, everyone just hides. There's just no good nano targets. So, and before anyone says, oh, nano Yukpo, no, like, you don't nano ball. Most teams never nano ball. They want to nano the Fire, they want to nano Azaria, Winston, but they don't normally nano ball. So there just wasn't good targets.
I mean, hey, Chengdu, they nanoed ball on Nepal, and look what that did for them. They lost.
Only if you're desperate and
kids.
Contesting. Only if you're really desperate and you need a contest. That's the time. But otherwise, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, just rough here. But, I mean, NYXL, they've shown that they are able to adapt. They've shown that they can compete with some of the best teams in the region. So, they're certainly not out of it yet. I mean, granted, hell, we just saw Seoul Dynasty reverse sweep the Fusion, so they're certainly not out of this. This is definitely still going to be winnable for the NYXL. I don't think that we're going to be seeing any kind of stomp from here on out. But time will tell as we do get ready to hop in for Volskaya Industries.
I mean, I think this will be back and forth. Just not forget, by the way, how dominant New York was on Nepal. So as much as the tables are turning, we're like, oh my god, Chengdu was so good on Rialto. Just, wind the clock back a little bit further and just remember that 2-0 on screen right now. That also happened. So it's not clear-cut for one team or the other. At the end of the day, it's been a close game, despite either map being dominant for one team. And one of the teams was getting dominated on that particular map. But now on Volskaya, who knows? Because this will be a different look from the first two maps as far as teams go. So there it is, Feather on towards the Sombra as expected. And now, I mean, we'll see what Jonak wants to play. I honestly would consider that Kalios may at some stage want to go back towards Azaria because that has been such a good, consistent winning strategy for New York. A very comfortable strategy for New York. Gives Jonak a great target for the Nano. If Jonak wants to stay on the Ana, it does seem like he does for now. The reason Monk's playing the Ana is because he's there to specifically nano Jinmu, which gives him 200 damage rockets. Now that is a legitimate strategy. I just don't see the same thing being effective on New York's team because they don't have a fire.
Well, gate's going to open. Leaf pops out for just a quick second. Flora's going to be changing over now onto the McCree as he's instantly greeted with a rocket. Smattering of damage coming through. We'll see what the strategy is going to be for them to try to break into this point. Feather is playing at main at the moment. We'll see if he decides to route around the left with the translocator.
And where is Jinmu? Because that is... Okay, so he's going to be playing on that right side for now. Leaf has decent scouting done here. Could be a bit of extra damage or maybe a hack with the Feather as they try and rotate left side.
He's keeping tabs on him at least for now. Hasn't really gone in with the hack. Kalios as well, not going to be a bad target. Tries to get the hack off, doesn't manage to make it happen. Shield bash has been used, so he can overstay just a little bit longer. Yakpeng, however, going to be eliminated. Late Young able to get that elimination. And now, I mean, NYXL, they are fairly well split. Yakpeng can somewhat easily get back in here for the rest of the team, but the hack goes in onto Kalios. Leaf just tries to farm up for this EMP. Jinmu kind of punching there, however, with a concussive blast. He'll get taken down, and Yveltal punished, so no res available. The Pharmacy duo broken down. Monk's going to be dead. And that is likely just going to be point A taken. I mean, the tanks are still here. They can buy a bit more time. But otherwise, I don't know if they have too much staying power.
I think Chengdu underestimated Jonak's charge rate there. They went in very aggressively. Jinmu was in the face of Flora and didn't expect to get blown up. And if Flora gets a nano boost, and this is the one time where, okay, nano boosting Flora is probably correct. He just destroys Jinmu. Flora goes down. Gaga needs to stay alive. Okay, there's a nano from Monk. Hasn't been used.
Doesn't find anything. Gaga's still alive somehow, somewhere. Nano boost now going to be used onto him just to go ahead and top him back up. And just like that, the Chengdu Hunters are straight back into this fight. Lei Young has fallen. Yakpeng going to be traded. And yet again, Jinmu will be eliminated. Yveltal is again hounded down. Feather comes up with that kill now twice in a row, making sure that they cannot possibly get the res off. And straight back in onto the point now with just a tick to go. Seems like this should finally be point A going the way of NYXL.
I think if Yveltal lives there, maybe Monk towards the end, Leaf could go for an EMP and they maybe play this point, but at this point, both supports down. They know it's over. Yveltal going down a second time is not ideal. Monk nanos Gargage just to try and keep him alive. That's one of the few times as well where, like, again, you're recontesting. The ball is there for the contest. He's very low HP. You want to just put that massive heal into him to try and play for that payload. Not the payload, but the point. See what kind of pressure New York have now on this attack, and they can double cap or not. Nano's going to be available. EMP.
EMP and Bomb is going to be good, and it actually finds just the very same EMP target, so Flora and Friday both do fall. Jonek, however, comes up with 2 kills. Has managed to find those, but the res this time will come in. Yveltal going to be grateful that he's able to survive, and Jonek will die, so it's just going to have to be a full reset for NYXL, who have stacked up 6 ultimates to try to get this cap. 4 minutes remaining is certainly a possibility for them to go ahead and establish a very strong time bank all the same.
And I think this is where Chengdu need to play very aggressively now, because they actually have nothing to work with, so ideally they force ultimates out of New York very early on before New York can reach that point. They're also waiting for a potential nano blade here, so this is going to be the dedicated strategy. Like I said, Farah on B, not great, but I guess Genji could work. Leave doesn't have EMP, but does have good scouting.
Oh, tries to get the hack off, doesn't manage to make that happen. Dive in comes through. Friday with the rally rolling. Flora, Nano to up, looking for some targets. Just hacked here for the moment. Nano on the Late Young just to keep him alive so he can retreat back inward here towards the point. Grabs the Mega Pack as well, just to fully top up. So many ults expended and barely stepped onto the point now onto the NYXL. But now that they are there, they will quickly establish that first tick. Minefield comes out.
Oh,
What the heck? Oh, he's so very low. Deadeye comes in, and like you said, Leave, he doesn't get it, but Jinmu comes in, he manages to turn it around, or at least to start to. 2 members now going to be gone, and he's out on a Friday. He will fall. Leaf scoops up that kill. Feather will find Yveltal. So look for just a little bit more halfway to that second tick, but it seems like the NYXL will be saved off the point, and now there's going to be a blade available for Jinmu to buy even more time.
I think it was Jonek. I think Jonek Sleep canceled Leave's EMP. That was godly. Holy Jonek, what a shot. And yeah, they even get 1 tick off that. I was maybe a little bit concerned because, okay, Chengdu do the expected thing. They're going to play aggressively, straight outside of B, force an early fight, force early ultimates. They got 5 ultimates out of the New York Excelsior, and then New York still managed to get a point, get that 1 tick. It's possibly like hashtag worth, but in, you know, low riding. Well, it's okay. Just a regular blade here.
Just a normal old dragon blade. Kalios like, well, any and all energy that I just had, I will lose. They go for a little bit of a back cap. They take it to 49%, but not going to get much more than that.
I don't know if that was worth.
Exit.
This time, for Chengdu, I don't know if that was worth. Okay, they played a blade. They would have fight technically. I mean, they bleed time down. Time is always great, but they're back into this thing that I had a problem with yesterday, where they never had nano and blade at the same time. So it's just going to be a little bit weird. And to be honest with you, New York had nothing to play with anyway, so New York were never going to trade ultimates with Chengdu. They were never going to do anything extra there. They were probably always going to lose that fight. Jinmu's going to go towards the fire now, knowing that, you know, if this gets delayed any longer, it could be a final fight.
Back on the Late Young. He's quite low. They're pushing him away, making sure he cannot grab that Mega Pack. But Jonak, he left out the dry, doesn't get to use the Nano as well before he falls. And now with those supports and Yakpung taking a nap, it's just time to go again. But we're going to be dipping down below a minute now here for the side of New York. They still have quite a few ultimates to get through, including another EMP. I mean, Jonak, can he do it twice?
And Kalios, he's swapped off as well because he knows he's got no energy. You're going with a fresh Zarya. You're not going to have Grav. At this point as well, the best you can hope for is maybe go for a spy check on towards Leave. Okay, good hack with the Gaga, but Leighton will be there for the defense. If you spy check Leave and force him to translocate away or have an awkward EMP, it could be good, but the EMP catches, or...
Yep, and from there, I mean, just natted up Jinmu. Says, yeah, I don't need a barrage. He's looking for Flora. Uses all of his dashes just to get out of there, so we'll stay alive. But this is not a great look right now for NYXL. 30 seconds. I mean, even if they can get the completion of the map, which obviously they're going to be aiming for, and they need to get.
I'll tell you what they can do.
It's going to be with no time.
It'll be Nano, Yakpung, who will have a Primal and then EMP, and they have to try and stagger these ultimates out a little bit as well. They don't want to throw everything at the same time. Got to get past the mines. Ideally, Gaga mines first, and then Feather gets to cancel the mines with the EMP. That would be the best case scenario for NYXL.
Well, it's not going to happen. EMP comes out straight away, gets both of the tanks, nobody else, and Floor is dead before he can use the pulse bomb.
Where's the Nano?
Still on the hunt, well into the back, but Jinmu lines him into the rocket. Jonak is dead. The Nano goes out of the Kalios, and now Yakpung with the Primal tries to go into the back line. He's antied out, but he still will find Monk. Jinmu dead, but the res comes in from Rialto, the Mad Lad. He does it yet again. He barely takes any damage during the process. He puts Jinmu straight back into the fight. Rockets come flying through. Yveltal will pistol down Feather. And that will be it. The OT will bleed away, and 49.1% is as good as it's going to get for New York. Now we need to have an even stronger defense if they want to win this and take the lead.
Now, usually what happens when you have Nano available with a Winston on board as well is you are typically supposed to Nano the Winston as the initial engage tool. Once the Nano expires or the Winston receives too much pressure, they Primal, and they'll use the rest of the Nano via the Primal, or they won't. I'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a look at the sleep again. So this is where Leave gets cancelled. It definitely comes from Jonak. So boom, here we go. Beautiful sleep. Incredibly good. I caught that in the corner of my eye as I was watching Leave. I'm like, where's that EMP? Back to the previous point, though. I think NYXL played their fight out of order because they EMP first. I expected they Nano first, play the Primal, and then EMP as Hunters maybe try and contest that one. But they EMP'd first, got a couple of catches, didn't Nano very quickly. If you're going to EMP first, you need to engage immediately. The problem with engaging is always that it can be hard to walk in, which is why the Nano onto Yakpung would have been good. So if you are going to EMP first, you might as well blow the Nano onto Yakpung straight away just to get in deep and secure Late Young and Gaga, which I don't think they really did. So a lot of ultimates spent there from New York, and unfortunately a bit of a whiff there as well. And also Jonak Nano Kalios. That must be a mistake. That has to be a mistake. I didn't see Kalios very, very low. The only time you would maybe Nano Kalios is if he was nearly dead and losing mech, but otherwise, like 90% of the time, it's got to go on Yakpung's Winston.
Sure. Well, whether it was a mistake or just an ill-judged Nano target, we may never know. So we can rewind the tape at least. Well, for now, scouting out. Gaga, what does he want to settle on? Seems like, okay, just Ball just wants to make sure he gets that Orb of Harmony out onto Monk. But they're going to be hunting, jumps away.
Zarya? Late Young's like, you know what? I'm going to Zarya.
Yeah?
If Kalios isn't going to do it, I'm going to do it. And Late Young, he's a Zarya main. You might forget about it because he's played so much D.Va recently, but back to his roots. Love to see that.
They falling very low there. Recalls the perfect opportunity. Yakpung in danger of getting eliminated here. Pile Driver looking pretty decent. They're pushing around the corner. They're looking to try to get Kalios and Yakpung. It's going to be the ladder falling first. Now Kalios does steadily get topped back up, but the Chengdu Hunters are already in onto this point. The second ticket's getting ready to arrive. Hack comes in. Kalios cannot defend himself. The Discord Orb goes out. Yveltal is so far going to be the only casualty on the side of the Chengdu Hunters, and it looks like he's going to remain the only one. Might get a slightly split spawned here, so maybe a couple extra second spot, yet he will. But otherwise, I mean, massive time bank at the ready for the side of the Chengdu Hunters to just get, you know, not even 50%.
And look at this. Kalios is rising to the challenge. He's saying, you want to go Zarya? Let's go Zarya, baby. It's the 1v1. It's not going to be really a 1v1, but it will be Zarya, both sides of the field. Jonak, if you notice that, by the way, as well, died on 95%. So the timing of Chengdu's specific dive there was so precise, they just managed to win and kill Jonak before Nano was relevant. Otherwise, Yakpung would have gone in. And if Yakpung goes with a Nano, New York can actually win that fight and maybe give Kalios some value as well. EMP now available for Jinmu. That's going to be the biggest factor.
All right, well, good little alley-oop there. Jonak gets a couple tags on the Yveltal, and Feather's in position to scoop the kill. That'll give him just about the EMP. Pulse Pump, however, goes out from lead, finds Friday. Now they're down a healer. Jonak trying to stay alive, throws that nano boost out onto Yakpung. He does manage to go forward, finds Jinmo. Gaga will kill off Feather, so it's just going to be main tanks killing Sombras for now. The young pop in the bubble. Kalios just sits on the high ground here, situated nicely to help beam down Gaga. Seems like held off for now. The first tick not quite coming through, so it will be a full restart for the Chengdu Hunters.
Extremely well played there from New York as well. They even forced out a trance, obviously because Feather went for the EMP. And Jinmu and Leaf both die anyway, so excellent targeting. Nano onto Yakpung, correct member this time, and Yakpung's nearly going to be farming up a primal as well. I think this is one of the best compositions that New York could possibly play. Very easy win conditions and very good individual mechanics as well in terms of where they're going to.
EMP out. Yakpung fortunately got the Primal Rage off first, but Jonak gets clipped as well. With that, on the back of that grab, they managed to find 3 kills now. Flora with the pulse will get rid of Late Young. It's a decent amount of damage eliminated, but Leave is here, and he's going to have a pulse of his own in just a few seconds. Flora barely stays alive, and they are just 3% away from closing this out. Flora's going to be dead. Whip shot it off the side of the map, and YXL have to be all in onto the point right now. Bubble goes out, Rally rolling. Friday loses out on all that armor. Grab goes in from Kalios, but he himself is under threat of falling, and Jinmu will be able to beam him down in the end. Yakpung now going to be eliminated. Nano is out, as you say, but it goes on to Friday, swinging around like a madman, trying to keep people in the fight, trying to offer up some AoE healing, but he himself is being out-pressured. The point nearly cleared. Feather, one of the last ones that needs to go down. He'll jump away with the translocator. The shield bash finds Flora. The mine finishes him off, and Chengdu Hunters will be able to close out Volskaya Industries. I mean, hard fought, tooth and nail, down to the last second there for NYXL, trying to keep that defense going. But unfortunately for them, they cannot make it happen, and that's going to be Chengdu taking the lead 2-1.
And so much of this, I said this yesterday when we looked at Chengdu, and today as well. Late Young has been having a phenomenal game both times now, both series now, both matches now, where, okay, he's not the guy showing up on the kill feed every single kill. He's not the guy doing the most that is obvious to people, but if you really inspect it, you see where the defensive matrices are, how much damage he's going to be doing on the Zarya as well, and just generally where Late Young is. Very solid. I mean, people were kind of upset that Elsa left and retired and saying like, oh, I don't know if this team's going to do it anymore. I think Late Young's playing above where Elsa left off, so that's a real strong point for the Chengdu Hunters right now. And beyond that as well, NYXL didn't get to, in my opinion, play like a very, very good comp for them until the end when Kalios decided he wanted to challenge Late Young Zarya by going his own Zarya. But by that point, you know, you had a pretty big lead for Chengdu. Late Young was 50+% ahead in the grab compared to where Kalios was, and on top of the energy that Late Young would have had. And then again, Chengdu also had the momentum. So it's been tough for New York, and they've always, in my opinion, been on the back foot compositionally, just trying to counter Chengdu, but Chengdu always have the edge. Well, that is Volskaya in the books. Kings Row is going to be coming up next. And I mean, given some of the sightlines on that map, it wouldn't be too shocking if we see Guangzhou rejoin the roster. I mean, not that we saw a poor performance at all, you know, but it is what it is, you know, at the end of the day. We'll see what happens, though, and we'll see if NYXL can take us to yet another map 5 when we come back, so don't go anywhere.
are back, guys, and it's time to jump into yet another map because we're not done with this series yet. Chengdu Hunters have taken this to series point. They lead 2-1 after their win on Volskaya. Had to fight a little bit harder than we might have anticipated, given how things had started, given their defense. NYXL, they certainly got things together by the end, but it was just a little bit too late, as we were talking about before the break. So they do find themselves with this advantageous position. The question is, can they close it out on King's Row, or do we see NYXL bring us to yet another map 5?
And, I mean, they would have to. By the way, Guangzhou is coming in for Feather. I think we teased that before we went to break, because, perhaps, well, let's be honest, Jimmu can definitely play fire, at least on A and B. That needs to be dealt with, and Guangzhou's going to be your guy to deal with that. Beyond that, though, to look at the wider stock of where New York are and what they need to do for the Countdown Cup, if they do lose today and they only pick up the one map versus Chengdu, they go 2-2 match record with a 0 map differential. Now, the scary thing with that is Shanghai, if they 3-0 Guangzhou Charge in our next match, they also go 2-2 with a 0 map differential. We're going to go to a tiebreaker, and I don't know how that's going to land. It is possible that Shanghai could win that tiebreaker. They might not. I don't know the exact math behind it, but you want to dodge that. So to dodge that for New York, they would have to win at least one more map here, even if they do lose, or just beat the Chengdu Hunters. That works as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, pressure is certainly on. Everybody wants to be in. I mean, this is going to be the last tournament of the year before we go into the play-ins and then the playoffs. So having a strong performance at the Countdown Cup is going to be in everybody's sightlines here for the most part. Because, granted, you might not get that free trip to Hawaii yourself. You're still going to be, stuck here in the Eastern Hemisphere and trying to, win on ping, but there's money in it for you. There's the glory. There's just the inspiration of hope for your fans that you're going to be giving them as you get ready to go into that final leg of the playoffs and then potentially the grand final. So getting that win does a hell of a lot to your mental state, to your wallets, etc. So we'll see if New York can try to keep those hopes alive, if they can best the Chengdu Hunters right here, right now, by winning on King's Road, taking us into another round of control where they looked so strong.
I mean, it'll also save you from the Guangzhou Charge potentially making a catch-up run. So if New York win today, Guangzhou would pretty much be out, I'm pretty sure. So that's it. I mean, Guangzhou play next, but Guangzhou need NYXL to lose here to even have a minor chance. So I believe the Charge are on something like 3 league points overall. New York and Hangzhou are on 7 league points, so there is a bit of a gap there. I mean, this would also be predicated on Guangzhou then qualifying for Countdown Cup and maybe getting some extra points as well. It's a long shot, but the shot is open, and it's open as long as New York don't win. So New York, if they win, they'll be safe, and they should only then have to get past the Hangzhou Spark to at least make play-ins this year.
Alrighty. Well, let's see how they fare now as we head into King's Row. First on the attack, it's going to be the Chengdu Hunters. And we'll have to see this time around if it's just going to be much of the same for NYXL or if they decide to change things up. Right now, we can see that Guangzhou is on the McCree. He's rolling back over towards the spawn, though, so maybe is going to be swapping over. Might be, I mean, I don't know. Is it an overstretch to go for a Widowmaker off the rip?
The only options really are...
Oh, he's high ground, okay.
Unless you want to play the Hangzhou and you're trying to do an Eileen cosplay, but then again, we're still lacking the Zenyatta. We are still lacking the Discord, so... This is New York going back to, okay, this kind of worked in Nepal, didn't really work anywhere else. Part of the reason it worked in Nepal, by the way, is I think the map has enough open sight lines and less geometry for Jimmu to abuse Lafara. So, we'll see how that works. Jonak also needs to do a really good job of just landing these nades, which I think versus Ball and Zarya is going to be that. So, this time, I think Jonak's Ana makes a lot more sense, just to go around the fact that there's no D.Va from late young, and you can land sleeps onto Gaga.
Shots flying out. Quick little hack there for just a brief moment, but not going to lead to too much of anything. Jinmu pulling back. Let's see. Oh boy, really rough spot to try and land, but Yabutol is there to back him up. Bubble goes out as well as he presses up into the window. Continually applying pressure. Point unoccupied right now by NYXL. First tick almost comes in, but have shoved back the Chengdu Hunters for now. So all that progress is going to start bleeding away, but Yakpung, as you say, gets hacked. Late Young manages to get that elimination. Now there's certainly a window of opportunity here for the Chengdu Hunters to reaggress and start ticking up. Back into it. Nano Boost going to have to be used by onto Kalios. Jonak just trying to keep him alive. Floor will alleviate quite a bit of pressure, get rid of those sleeps as well as the bio nades by getting the kill onto Monk, but Yveltal, as always, very reliably brings him back into the fray.
The ults.
Nano boost invested onto Jinmu. Lanes up top, finds Jonak with the first rocket. Now looks for a little bit more. Barrage going to be let loose. Nowhere really realistically for Yakpung to go. He's just going to be taking a nap inside the hotel. Kalios charges forward, finds Yveltal, and this is just a bloodbath. They still haven't really occupied the point at all. Kalios going to be finished off. Guangzhou just waiting for them to push back over. Starts taking some shots. But Chengdu are here, and they have to wait for reinforcements to the NYXL before they can really get back into this.
I don't know if they can. I mean, okay, they're close by. Yakpung can swing in. Kalios can maybe bomb this. They look like they might want to go for it. Sleep Dart misses from Jonak as well. If they're going to go soon. Kalios is in.
Yeah, they drop down. It's going to be the self-destruct just to try to buy some space. Gets the push away there on the Baby Diva. They cannot get a punish. Jinmu will fall. Kaga into the back line, manages to find Friday, but Guangzhou gets Monk. Support's just going to be left with Yveltal, who does not last very long. It seems like NYXL with this recontest have been successful. A minute and 45 still to go for the Chengdu Hunters, so it's certainly not over. The EMP's nearly there, but that looked like NYXL maybe shouldn't have been able to get this recontest.
I mean, NYXL still waiting for supports. Jonak and Friday died. They're only coming back now. Kalios hacked out as well. Ideally, Lee doesn't have to use the EMP. He might be forced to. If he does get to use the EMP, that's at least good for New York.
Yeah, EMP does get used. Manages to find Flora and Yakpung. It will get shredded down. And that will be the cap coming in. We'll see if Leave is just going to stick with this Sombra throughout. Closes the translocator and starts moving forward. So yeah, it looks like he's going to be sticking in with it.
I think the Sombra difference here again just applies so much pressure to Yakpung where that doesn't exist for Gaga. And partially because of that, you saw Late Young was giving a lot of bubbles over to Jinmu instead, so even though he wasn't playing Diva, he was still hard pocketing Jinmu who's in the sky, and now he is on a Diva just to eat some more Bionades, put a bit more pressure on the Jonax Anna as well. And because Leave did use that EMP, now you have a New York that's feeling very confident about the next fight. This is why it's good for New York that Leave that was forced to use the EMP, because now B should be in the hands of New York. They have way more ultimates.
Ooh. Jinmu going to get top back up. Bionade is massive. Finds Jonak and Guangbun. And the barrage is going to be just as large. So 2 rocket kills into the D-Mech and finish with the Baby Diva. With Monk getting res back in, this cart likely to start moving yet again here, as that is effectively an extended team wipe. Still with just shy of 3 minutes to spare. This is a very good pace all the same for the Chengdu Hunters.
I said it should be good for New York, but unfortunately, Jinmu's Farah happens. Just Farah things, you know, that's how it is. I'm not too sure where Kalios was in terms of defense matrix. Did he run out of matrix? Was it quite low? Was he mispositioned? Could Jonak have maybe nanoed Kalios again? Because I think he nanoed Guangzhou, which again is always going to be, to me, a hit or miss kind of target. At least nanoing Kalios here would keep him alive to get some more matrix in there, at least flying to Jinmu's face. But a barrage just completely walks over New York's 5 ultimates, of which they used, I think, 3. And now the caps nearly come through.
Yeah. Kalios has to pull away. Doesn't have the self-destruct. He's just 2% away from it as he gets D-Maxed. Minefield now out. Deadeye not going to find a damn thing. Self-destruct used by Late Young slightly around the corner, so won't find a pick, but it doesn't matter because everybody who approaches this cart is just getting absolutely bullied off of it. Yakpung the last one to fall, and it's 3.5 minutes to try to complete the map. Gaga slept for just a moment, takes about half of his HP and damage, but otherwise it's going to be fine and leave. Melee hits Flora to get the elimination on the enemy Tracer.
I think Yveltal might have had a bit of a block.
They have to
there as
here,
well.
right?
So, don't think so. The EMP will catch just the one.
And
Do get the one, though.
He says goodbye, he says goodnight. Corner in there onto Friday. Floor will get rid of Jinmu, so maybe Friday can actually escape from the cubby. Push up onto the cart. Kalios getting knocked out, finished off by the pile driver. I mean, it's just such a brutal slobber knocker of an exchange that we're having right now. Chengdu Hunters just fighting tooth and nail to keep things going, and NYXL just desperately trying to get them to stop, but it hasn't really worked so far. Pulse pump from Flora, if you can get that onto a primary target like Monk, like Yveltal, maybe that could be the source of some stability for themselves. The diving into the back line, the Nano is out. Yakpung just eluding these sleep darts. Monk being pocketed, is kept alive for a little bit longer. Pulse pump finishes him off, and Yakpung gets the kill onto Yveltal to make sure that there's no res to be found. Finished off a couple members here, and now they finally can stabilize. They can finally take a breather and find some respite, but there's still time in the bank here as the Chengdu Hunters are going to be just fully swapping things up.
I think this is where I expect New York to really have a firm hold, though, because there's about 2 minutes left. The fire strategy's out the window because fire on C is not ideal. You saw Jimmu go for a very risky barrage. I think he knew he was probably going to have to die anyway. If he dies in the cap, brilliant. If he dies in the don't cap, he changes. That was always part of the plan. They go off the Mercy now. They don't even actually play the Ana and Genji. They're not playing for Nano Blade anymore. They want to go for this long-range poke damage on the Hangzhou. We'll see if Jimmu is as accurate as Leave has been today.
A rally's out from Friday. They're diving in. They're looking for Yebeltal. Manages to stay alive. I think he actually picks up that hacked Mega Pack to stay in the fight, but Guangzhou just, fanning the hammer like an absolute maniac. Just doesn't care about accuracy at this point. Just needs to try to output as much damage as humanly possible. He does just that. They cleaned it up, and they saved them off yet again. It's another minute bought.
And I think this should be a hold now. I mean, New York are really stacked on ultimates. Next fight will be Jonak Nano on towards Yakpong. Plenty of defensive plays there. I mean, Gaga's even got on towards the Orisa. There's not even a payload for them to control. Monk's dead, so that's going to be another reset. 10 more seconds. We are going to be down below 1 minute now, and it's going to be EMP or nothing. EMP has to be incredibly good. And even if they catch the back line, I expect New York to trade back line. So really, do you try and EMP Yakpong and hack Yakpong, or do you want to target the back line? But if you do target the back line, Chengdu cannot dive onto Jonak on Friday. They have to fight front to back.
EMP finds 3. Flora dead off the bat. He wasn't even hacked. Jinwoo just domes him with an arrow. Anti is out onto 2. Yakpong pulls back around the corner. He gets the Primal Rage online, so he does not fall. Kalios now sends out the self-destruct into the back. They look for a pick, and they will find Monk. I'm just looking for a little bit more. Finally does send Gaga over off the side of the map. Everybody else looking for the reset with just 25 seconds remaining. It's looking very dire for Chengdu's hopes to try and get this cart moving through to the end of King's Row.
They nearly killed Yakpong actually even during the nano boost. If they did, he wouldn't have had Primal, and that could be the opening Chengdu knee. But I think playing this EMP with the Sombra in towards what the composition Chengdu have, it's just not ideal. One final fight now. Rally plus Dragon. Huge Bio Nade for Jonak.
Jonak, he's dead. Monk, a nice pickup, but the Bio Nade doesn't lead to any kills at least yet. Yakpong will manage to get on top of Lee, but now Kalios is going to be demeched, and there's no supports available here for the side of the NYXL. Fortunately for them, though, the cart has not yet started advancing. Guangzhou and Yakpong have been able to play around this, so the supports will be able to join back into the fight. Guangzhou will headshot, gets rid of the enemies and Yada. Yakpong, however, now going to be falling. See if he sticks through the Winston or wants to just come back out with a Wrecking Ball to try to buy some more time and be even more elusive.
The legs as well.
Flora. Yep, delaying it. Like you say, Soldier 76 here for Leave, just looking to try to burst down as many targets as he can. Pulse from Flora, lands, goes a little bit wide, can't find his kill. He falls low. Helix Rockets go on to Jonak to get that first elimination. That's the first step. Deadeye going to be canceled. Lee Young, rather, going to be knocked out of the mech. Self-destruct will find Kalios. Apparently just didn't have that self-bubble available, or maybe it got bursted down before the explosion came through. Either way, he's out of the fight. Everybody is falling low. They're trying to clean it up. Floor will go down. The halt to delay drags them over at the side of the spawn door. They will be able to cap this, but with no time in the bank. Considering how things started for the Chengdu Hunters, this is not a bad defense whatsoever for NYXL, but now they need to finish.
It's not a bad defense, but it should have been a great defense. Chengdu should not have been able to cap that. I mean, Leave comes back on a Soldier out of desperation because Soldier's really fast and he runs. That's why he's called Legs. And somehow, I mean, you should know Leave's going to come back with a little bit of burst damage, and I kind of scoff like, really? I mean, Soldier, I guess, maybe
instantly
hit a
bursts
Helix,
Jonak.
and then he just destroys Jonak. How does that happen? Jonak, by the way, had a nano that whole time, couldn't use it. Dies to Leave, respawns, dies to Leave again. Doesn't get to use that nano. By the way, Kalios and Zarya, why? If you're in the final fight, the most high-impact flex tank I think you can choose is probably the D.Va, because at least if you get demeched, you can contest the payload as the baby D.Va. Defense Matrix is just far superior than Bubbles with long cooldown. Way more versatility anyway. You can actually dive in challenges. A lot more things you can do in the D.Va. I was so confused by that Zarya pick from Kalios. Seemed like potential, just comfort. Like, I mean, Zarya's a good hero for me. I'm just going to go Zarya. I did not expect that defense was going to fall apart, and then for Chengdu to actually cap when Chengdu had nothing left. After the EMP was done and Leave landed the EMP and they tried their best, that should have been the last fight for Chengdu and the last attempt into what should have been a New York completed hold on C.
Well, now over onto the attack. Let's see how NYXL fares. Guangzhou at least starting with the Hangzhou for a recon. Take a couple pot shots here. I mean, the shield break definitely still going to be strong, but it seems like he wants to change it up all the same. It's going to be straight back over onto the McCree, Kalios onto the D.Va.
Gaga staying on this arrestor as well. I guess, you know, play static on the defense, just have the positioning for Leave to do some damage. Leave did some great things on Hangzhou, and I guess, you know, if you weren't convinced that Leave can literally just play every single hero, he just comes out on Soldier, does what he wants, comes out on Hangzhou, gets shots, comes out on Widow. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Jonax just deleted again. Leave's not finished. He's not finished.
Yeah, he is still very much present. Spots Flora, can't quite get that arrow into his tail end, but makes him leave. Fun, not intentional.
I got that one.
Guangzhou goes for a quick little swap there onto the Widowmaker, just trying to get Jinmu or Yveltal, but it doesn't manage to make it happen. Like you say, Nano is available for Jonak.
Okay, where's
Got a good
Yakpung gonna go?
opening though.
Gotta get Yakpung in here. Dive time is right now. They gotta go.
Okay, he's into the back. He's looking for Leave. Go for the pinch. Cuts him off on the other side of the hotel. And Leave, yeah, he doesn't know which way to turn. The bubble actually canceling out a lot of that healing that they're trying to offer up. Friday will be a casualty for the side of New York. The rest will come in. Is not able to really, you know, play that position and try to keep it protected and stave Yveltal off. As the Dragon Strike will come crashing across, everybody for the most part has to pull back away. Flora picked off Leaf, finds yet another kill. Dive in, Sleep Dart onto Late Young. The anti out onto him as well. They're trying to get a break onto this mech. They can't pursue close enough though. They actually don't manage to get it, so he's still gonna stay alive and he still retains his self-destruct.
Barrage ready. And that's the thing, even if you did demake Late Young, he self-destructs, he resets the mech, so they heal Jinmu. Now it should be time for Barrage to come on through soon.
Another primal out here from Yakpung. The nano boost being built up by Jonak in somewhat record time. Second tick is picked up by NYXL. Bomb into the back will find Jonak to identify exactly where that Ana's at, knows that he has no escape. Leave the only casualty, but the res comes in. The start from Kalios will find Monk, but that's about it. Everybody else just steadily getting picked off. Jinmu in the corner, feeling pressured, will pop the barrage. A little bit of latency here. He still gets the DMAC on the Kalios, though, and NYXL are going to have to go again. Just a minute and a half remaining. Pulse Bomb almost there, Rally nearly there. Is that going to be enough for them to get this cap?
The one important kill New York have been getting somewhat consistently because they are applying pressure onto him is Leave. The problem is, every time they kill Leave, he gets res right back in, and as soon as he comes back from the res, he gets another final blow. So Leave is really just pumping out damage. You thought maybe this was just going to be a Jinmu dominant team with the fire. You forgot about Leave. Here we go. Nano to Jinmu, 200 damage rockets. Guangzhou nearly
Drops down,
dead.
gets himself within the bubble. Guangzhou going to fall. Looks for another target. It's going to be slept. Hits the ground. And it does get eliminated in the end. Jonak finding that one. So it seems like finally NYXL here, with less than a minute remaining, should be able to get this cap as they clean up Yveltal. So 2.5 minutes going to be added to the time bank, but they need to have a very fast Streets phase if they want to complete this map. They cannot allow for the Chengdu Hunters to find any stability whatsoever.
I think they're going to have to blitz through this one. They have ultimates to do so in terms of snowballing. Great, we're going to nano to the next fight. Rally is still briefly up as far as the armor is concerned. Use that, don't let it dissipate. Nano Yakpung, get some presence, try and get a bit of a one and done on B, and then I can see the possibility of New York Excelsior going into C, maybe even getting a bit of time if they're lucky, but at minimum, looking for the cap here so we can have a time bank play.
Flora around the back, Pulse Bomb goes out. Monk not going to be stuck. Bionades himself to stay topped up. The Dragon will find Jonak. I mean, Leaf just somehow has like a magnet just for Jonak here. Every single time he throws anything out, it just happens to kill him off. Intentional or not, it's a good look. That, however, looked rather intentional. Flora. Well, his skull's got an arrow sticking straight through it. Jinmu will finish off the Baby Diva here, making sure they find nothing for that self-destruct. They do lose late Young, but Diva's still ever present over at the cart. As I say it though, Jonak gets a bit of revenge. Those at the Bionade to finish off the enemy. Hangzhou follows up for both DPS, getting Jinmu as well. It's way too far forward. Yveltal is like, yeah, even I am not going to be going for that res. Way too risky. They pull all the way back behind point B, and that's going to allow for the cart to gain quite a bit of distance.
Be a primal fight, I'm sure. This is where once the payload is in the correct position and Chengdu look like they want to contest, Yakpung's got to go in. Kalios must save some defense matrix here because Jinmu is nearly on another barrage, and I've yet to see Kalios really prevent the barrages from getting maximum value.
Yakpung's
dead.
He can't primal.
Yikes.
Leaf just kills him with the storm arrows. That's a huge pick off. And obviously, no way to bring him back into the fight. Jonak now going to be out-pressured. Jinmu finds that kill. Self-destruct used by Late Young. Won't find anything, but he'll get back in safely. And now they have to try to re-aggress back over to the cart, you know, through Leave, who nearly has a Dragon Strike, through this Farah.
And now, the worst part about this is Jimmu can set it wherever he wants. Previously, when NYXL had control of the payload and control of the 10-point spacing of the map, they controlled pretty much 90% of B. Now they have no control of B, and with Flora dead, by the way, Jimmu is literally anywhere he wants to be. He can play an off angle, and again, Kalios needs to be very specific about saving the Matrix for him. This is a very early primal, and it's just, what is this primal for? What is this?
I don't know. I'm not too certain, but they just move over, they get the headshot into the storm arrows, and Yakfeng is dead, and that's a primal gone. I mean, they didn't even end with to try to back him up. Now it's going to be the electric cowboy. Barrier right up into his face. Guangzhou falling low. He's got to pull away. He's got the nice sightlines, which means that he's not outputting damage. Now he's much more vulnerable without the nano. Mirage comes in. Chengdu finds both of the supports. They do not have Kalios in position to try to mitigate any of this damage, and now he himself is going to be broken out of the mech. 25 seconds remaining. Kalios needs to die right now. Yevotol will do him that mercy of actually just going ahead and, pistoling him down. The res will come in. He does still have that self-destruct to try to buy some space, but I just don't see a world where this could happen here for NYXL.
Leave is just going to Dragon, and it will be over. He will put the Dragon in there, and York Excelsior will not touch, and it's GG's. I mean, they might, maybe Kalios goes in there, he sacks his meg, plays the self-destruct. That's probably the only real play.
Touchdown. Ooh, he barely makes it, and even then Flora nearly dies for that touch.
Dragon?
Does get the recall off, but now he's going to be susceptible for a little while longer. Jinmu finds two. Guangzhou's just not going to get an opportunity to ever use this Deadeye. Kalios slept to wake him up, but it's one of the rudest awakenings that I've ever seen. Instantly broken out and finished off. The final rocket will connect in onto Friday as Jinmu just continues to assert his aerial dominance. On the ground, in the skies, it does not matter. You cannot escape Jinmu. You cannot escape Leave. The Chengdu Hunters will close out this series, denying even a push into B on King's Row.
I think the most damning part of all of this, on King's Row specifically, was the fact that, first of all, Chengdu actually capped C, and as I've stated multiple times, that is going to be the weakest part of the map for the Chengdu Hunters because they cannot rely on Jinmu's Farah. And beyond that as well, New York failed to get onto C where they would have been the strongest. I have a lot of confidence that had New York actually capped B and gone towards C, they can cap that for sure. Especially if, even if they have like 2 minutes remaining, just do a little bit of snowballing, take Jimmu off the fire. That can and should be capped from New York, and then we go to time bank. Sure. I don't know if I trust them to win in time bank because A point and Jimmu back on fire, anything could happen, and possibly Chengdu win there, but we never get to find it. We don't get to know what could happen there. And so, in essence, everyone kind of gets robbed of that final bit of time back that could have been. But Chengdu have just proven that even in their areas of weakness, they still cap and they still win. And that, to me, just says so much about Chengdu's capability of getting these wins in there, being clutch. They won in overtime with Leave on the legs and just getting 3 kills, 2 on Jonak preventing a nano. And New York Excelsior just failed to clutch up in the same way. I mean, it was a disaster on B for that last phase of attack. Yakpung, Primal, question mark, Kalios, Defense Matrix, question mark, just don't know what's happening.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of question marks here, and it's a shame to have these questions unanswered after such a strong start, off the bat for NYXL, and then it just fell apart from there. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Chengdu Hunters, just they shake that off very quickly. They get settled back in. And Leave and Jinmu begin to just absolutely pound after having a fairly inconsistent beginning on Nepal. But it's time to go ahead and take a look at our player of the match. Production queued it up for me, but I didn't quite catch it in my ear, so I'll be surprised along with you guys as to who it is. But I can take a wild stab in the dark and assume it's Jinmu yet again, and it is.
I mean, it's been very difficult to get past Jinmu. Actually, it might have been Leave. I could have heard it was Leave, but we're looking at Jinmu right now anyway. Either of them. Again, a special mention has to go to the Late Young because I think he's kind of the invisible hero behind the scenes. Without Late Young, a lot of this wouldn't be possible, but Jinmu's fire has been dominant. Even when he doesn't play this, he's had more than a serviceable Genji plus Hangzhou plus even Tracer when it comes down to it. So this has been the pivotal part of Chengdu, and if you're going to give the capability to run a Farah to Chengdu, they got to do it. They're going to find maximum success. You have a team that is as prepared as a New York Excelsior in terms of wanting to counter Jinmu. We saw that in Nepal, hugely successful in Nepal. If you only watched Nepal and you stepped away, you would have to imagine this could have been a 3-0 because it looked that good for New York. But as the maps came through, as we progressed further in the series, Chengdu had Jinmu play far more creative angles, a little bit safer, understanding what Guangzhou was trying to do there, and just bullying the backline, deleting Jonak time and time again. Brought in the tanks as usual. Kalios kind of missing here on the Diva, and Jinmu will find a way. He will find a way to win this game with this farm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that maybe between yesterday and today, I think yesterday, certainly Late Young, for my money, probably, a bit of a more deserving one. Jinmu ends up getting the back-to-back. But today, Late Young does enable, but look at the stats. I mean, still the direct accuracy is at 0%.
So fast.
But, I mean, how many direct hits did he have yesterday compared to this? It was like 50-something. Now he's got 123 direct hits. That is insane.
Yeah, the big 1, 2, 3 there. And just by the way, a lot of these are going to be nano direct hits as well, where again, nano plus blue beam from Mercy is 200 damage. So if you couple the 123 directs with the fact that he gets every single nano, you start to understand that he's one-shotting people. 200 damage rockets. So that is deadly. That is crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible performance there from Jinmu and the rest of the Chengdu Hunters to bounce back in that series and close it out 3-1. We're not quite done yet. Of course, we're going to have a game break when we come back after a quick little break. We'll talk about the match a little bit more, and then we'll get set up to go into our third and final series of the evening, which is the Shanghai Dragons versus the Guangzhou Charge. So don't worry, guys. Plenty more Overwatch to go, plenty more to discuss, and we'll see you in just a few. our game break, we can just go ahead and reminisce about the series that we just watched. Chengdu Hunters taking down NYXL 3-1. It was a very nice turnaround for the Hunters in the end. I mean, I said I wasn't sure who was going to take this. NYXL, they started things off with a bang, but it just really spiraled out of control for them after that second map.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, New York, I think, could they have gone to a map 5, they would have needed to go to Time Bank on Kings Row and have won on A. For reference as well, map 5 would have been Busan. Could they win on Busan? I would have imagined that if we get a repeat of Nepal on Busan for NYXL, yeah, they could win that. And maybe then New York could actually win that series. But then you have to go through a very specific timeline for that to happen. We're going to take a look at, you know, some of these really great pulse bombs as well. I mean, boom, look at that. You just have, on that Nepal, so many good sticks from Florida. If you are a New York fan, just forget about the other 3 maps. Only look at Nepal and you remember this moment? We were like, how did Yukpung die? Did he get booped? Sometimes you get booped and you don't get the kill feed thing. And, you know, we gave him the benefit of the doubt. Nope, he just slammed into the water. New York giveth and taketh away. The good news is, I will tell you, well, that would hurt. It does hurt. It hurts all of New York right now. I can tell you one bit of good news here is I had conveniently forgotten that New York did actually beat Shanghai in that 5-map series last week. So in the Shanghai-New York head-to-head, and as far as tiebreakers go, New York do beat Shanghai there. So the fact that New York finish their Countdown Cup with a 2-2 scoreline and 1 map in there, Shanghai, they can at most now match that and be on the same scoreline, which is probably not good enough for Shanghai. There might still be other considerations here, because Chengdu can still go 2-2 as well, but I'm pretty certain now Shanghai would have to 3-0. Chengdu would then have to 2-2 with, you know, a real flop in the next 2 series, and then Shanghai and New York maybe climb ahead, but Shanghai possibly is out of the Countdown Cup now. In New York, just from winning 1 map versus Chengdu, may have secured themselves. So there's that. There's that slight bit of, you know, silver lining for New York. It's not all disastrous, at least not yet. We don't know. Their fate is out of their hands now, and in the fate of other teams who need to get wins. Beyond that, though, the main target beyond Countdown Cup is that as far as Eastern Division standings go, to get into the playoffs and the play-ins, New York need to get ahead of Spark, and Spark need to get ahead of New York, because only one of these teams can actually make it in, because we are assuming that Fusion, Dynasty, Hunters, Shanghai are going to be the top 4 teams, and only one other team can be in that top 5 to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting really tight-knit here as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. Everybody's going to be vying for that final spot in the play-ins, and it's just a matter of time before we figure out who it's going to be. But not having, you know, your own fate in your own hands is always a bit of a rough situation to be in. But unfortunately for NYXL, that's just the way it is. But guys, when we come back, we will have our final series of the evening and of the weekend. It's going to be the Shanghai Dragons going up against the Guangzhou Charge, who looked quite strong yesterday. We'll see how they fare up against the Dragons when we come back in just a few.